how you can become a better photographer by understanding the concept of what a stop of light is. Now, this is a concept some photographers may not understand. I myself didn't quite understand it to begin with, but I wanted to break it down for you guys so you can understand what a stop of light is, because understanding lighting is a huge part of photography. Photography is basically controlling light itself. So what is a stop of light? Put simply, a stop of light going up is gaining 50% more light. Losing a stop of light means you lose 50% of the light coming in, or 50% less light. So that's what a stop of light is. But the most important part is, how do we control it as photographers? Well, we know we have things like strobes, off-camera flash, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the most important way to control the stops of light, and that's through our settings. See, as a photographer, to be a professional, the best way to master your craft is to master your settings and understand them. So let's talk about the 3 settings we know that control light: your ISO, your shutter speed, and your f-stop or your aperture, which is one of the harder ones to explain, but we're going to go into a little bit of detail to hopefully make sure we get this concept and understand it fully. So again, let's talk about a stop of light and your ISO. How does your ISO affect your stop of light? Simply put, you double your ISO, so you go from, say, 200 ISO to 400 ISO, you're going to gain a stop of light. You're allowing 50% more light in. Put it in reverse. If you are going to lose a stop of light, that means you're going to go from ISO 400 to 200. You lose a stop of light. So that's ISO. Pretty simple. You double or half your ISO to control that stop of light. Now, what about shutter speed? How does shutter speed, how does that affect, how do we control our stops of light? One stop of light is doubling or halving your shutter speed. How does that work? If we double our shutter speed, we make it quicker. So you go from 1/125th of a second to 1/250th of a second. We're making the shutter speed quicker. That means it's closing quicker. We're going to lose a stop of light. That's because it's closing quicker. So when you double that shutter speed, make it quicker, lose a stop of light. Half your shutter speed, that means you slow it down. So again, if we went from 1/125th of a second to 1/60th of a second, halving our shutter speed, we're going to gain that stop of light. We're going to gain 50% more light. That's because the shutter speed is closing slower, allowing more light in. Now finally, let's talk about our aperture, our f-stop. Now this one, again, photographers get this a little confused. Again, how it works, how f-stop, aperture works, how it's explained. Well, someone says, close down your f-stop, close down your aperture. What does that mean? That means you're raising the number on that f-stop. So you would go from 2.8 to 4.0. Now, again, one full f-stop equals one stop of light. So like I was saying, if you went from 2.8 to 4.0, that's one f-stop. That's going to be one full stop of light. You're going to be letting 50% less light in. You're losing one stop of light. Why is that? Because when you close down your aperture or your f-stop, you're making that hole in the lens smaller, letting less light in. Now let's say the opposite. We open up our aperture. We're going to let more light in. That means the f-stop, that number is going to go down. It's going to go from 4.0 to 2.8. One full stop equals one stop of light. So one f-stop, one full stop of light. Explain that again. When we are opening up our aperture, letting more light in, that's going to allow 50% more light in. One f-stop equals one stop of light, either up or down. So let's conclude it, summarize it together. What is a stop of light? That's either 50% more light coming in or 50% more light that we're losing. How is it controlled through our settings? Our ISO, we double it or we have it to gain a stop of light or lose a stop of light. Shutter speed, quicker shutter speed. When you double that to a quicker shutter speed, you're going to lose a stop of light. When you have it, slow your shutter speed, gain a stop of light. And again, with aperture, one full stop in your f-stop is one stop of light, either up or down. So I hope this explains the concept of stops of light to you guys. Understanding this will help you control light better, help you know your settings, and again, help you become a better photographer in general. Hope you guys enjoyed.